They're really easy. They're really easy. Square roots. Square roots. You only need 2 points. And this is what they look like. They can go, you have a starting point and what I like to call a direction point. So they start here and they go off in one direction, so it looks that way. It could also flip under, so it could also look like this with my start and my direction point. So either one of those is what your square root graphs are going to look like, and it's cut off because remember we can't have negatives under a square root. So I have to cut off all the negative parts there. Cube roots look a little different. Cube roots. They can be negative, remember. You can take the third root of a negative number because a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. So their start point is in the middle, but they have 2 direction points. I'm just showing you what they look like right now. We're not actually graphing them. That's all I want you to see right now is what they look like. So these are start and these are direction here. Direction, that means direction point. We're going to get to that and I'm going to tell you what it means. But right now I just want you to see what the graphs are going to look like. All right, let me give you a second to start with square roots and then we'll do cubed roots. So square roots, the equation itself is gonna look a lot like whenever we did quadratics. We're gonna put an A in front, square root. So a couple things. A tells us if it's up. You know those two? The first one I put where it opened up. If A is positive, then it's going to go in this direction. But if A is negative, it's going to look like that.
All right, re-say everything you just said.
The number in front, which is my A, if that's positive in front of the square root, it's going to open up. Just like remember the quadratics, if it was positive, it opened up, negative, it opened down. If it's negative, then it goes down. This is really half of a parabola on its side is what it is. Because this is the inverse of a quadratic. If A is missing, let's say it's not there, what do you think it is?
0. 1.
1, because it's being multiplied. What if H or K are missing?
0.
0. One other thing this equation tells us, it tells us our start point.
The K.
You're very close.
It's
The both of them together.
Oh.
HK, just like with our parabola when we were finding the vertex. This is the same thing because this is half of a parabola on its side, and this would be the vertex. So that's your start point. No, you just take them from the equation. H, though, is opposite sign. K is same sign. I'm going to give you an example, and let's see if we can together come up with these points. Let's say I have y equals the square root of x plus 1 minus 2. What do you notice right off that's missing? The A. So what is A?
1.
1. So that means, is it going to be up or down? Up. Okay. What is my starting point here?
-1, -2.
Yes. Because it's got to be opposite sign of what's under the radical, same sign of what's outside. Does that make sense? Okay. What if it was
you get -1?
Yeah. Opposite of what's under here. Your H, remember that HK? H is under the radical. K is outside the radical. I'm going back. So is this one going to be up or down? Down because it's negative. What's my starting point?
3.
Close.
-3, 0.
0. 3. The H is under the radical. The K is outside the radical. So if there's nothing under the radical with it, then H is 0. I'm just what? We're fixing to. I just want to make sure you can pull out the H and K.
So H is not -1.
These are different problems. Look at number 3. What's your starting point there?
2, 0.
This time it's 2, 0 because you take the number under the radical and then outside. So under radical didn't have one here for number 2, that's why I picked 0 and 3. This one had both. This one's missing K. Yeah, whatever's on the... We're fixing the graph, so we're going to use it to plug in.
What if the X
Cheyenne, this is for you. Yes. Step 1. We're going to graph the start point. And the start point is going to be HK. Don't forget, H is opposite. K is the same. So looking at my example, what is the start point?
-1, -1.
Yes. And so I'm just going to plot that. Mark it with an S so you know that that's your start point. Next thing I'm going to do is I need my direction point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my start point and I'm going to add 1 to it and plug in.
You add it to -1 or
Add it to what you changed. So here, if I did +1 to this one,
0.
it would be 0.
Huh? Oh, so you just do the problem.
If I add 1 to my start point, in other words, here's where I started. I just want to move over 1 to the right
You just add
and plug it in. Because I got to find the direction point. I need to know where it is so I can draw it.
add 1
I just add 1
to H.
to H. After you change the sign, Bryce.
What sign?
You know how here it's positive, but here it's negative? Add it after you change the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step 2.
Right. Yes. Okay, everybody always asks that question at some point. I'm just clarifying. All right, let's plug it in. 2 times the square root of 0 plus 1 minus 1.
That's a 0.
If you always just add 1 to it, you're always going to get 1 under this radical. 0 plus 1 is 1. What's the square root of 1? What's 2 times 1? You got to multiply first. I'm taking it, you don't have to take it in this many steps. So that's 1. So what is my direction point? Zero, 1, right? You know how they're going to connect, what it's going to look like. It's going to look like half of a parabola on the side. Don't make it a straight line. It's not a straight line. If you think about
3 dots.
3 dots is cube root. Right now we're just square roots. If this is a parabola, if you imagine the inverse flipping it on its side, the vertex is your start point. That's really what we're graphing. Half of a parabola on its side.
That's the whole lesson then?
No, that's just square roots. We got to do cube roots. Okay? Let's practice one of these. One more.
Shoot, I can do it with my eyes closed.
I told you it was easy.
You can tell us what this is. That's probably easy. They learn all year.
Cube roots is almost as easy too. They really. Well, there's just one extra step in cube roots because you got to have a third point. Let's say I had. Let's do some with zeros. For whatever reason, the zeros throw everybody. Let's say I have -3 times the square root of x. This one's going to open the other way, right? The start point, you're right, 0, 0, because both are missing. No, that's -3 times square root. We're fixing to. We're doing square right now. We're going to get the cube next. That's square. All right, so for my direction point, I need to plug in x equals what?
1.
1. Because 0 plus 1
It's 3 times
is 1.
-1.
So now I plug it in. You're right. -3 times the square root of 1.
1.
Slow down? Okay, I'll wait on you. All right, so this point is 1, -3, and that's a direction point. Let me give you an option here.